If there's one thing that I've come to appreciate about the modern entertainment industry, it's the sheer determined consistency of their own stupidity. Rey's movie is going to be directed by Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, who according to her Wikipedia page is a Pakistani journalist, filmmaker and activist known for her work on films that highlight the inequality of women.
Did the critical drinker just expose an anti-men director, pushing Disney to cancel the Rey Star Wars movie? Yeah, you heard right. The Rey movie isn't happening. It's now on the growing list of scrapped projects that didn't really spark any excitement. So, why did Disney decide to drop the Rey Palpatine movie? Well, introducing the Critical Drinker, a popular YouTuber with a huge fan base. He's known for talking about Disney a lot, especially how they're leaning into more political stuff in their movies. And you know what? People love his approach, because he's saying exactly what a lot of us are thinking, and he always keeps it fun and light. The Critical Drinker has so much of a fan base that even Disney can't ignore him. He's been all over national TV, mostly talking about, you guessed it, Disney. His influence is now so significant that his videos seem to be shaping decisions over at Disney. Now, Disney thought they had a great idea with the Rey movie, but it turns out the Critical Drinker's critique helped them see the light, that maybe it wasn't such a great idea after all. If they had listened to him earlier, they might have avoided some big flops like the Allo Show and the Outlaw Game. Both projects had huge budgets and were loaded with forced diversity and inclusion politics that didn't land well at all. The result? Allo got axed after just one bad season, and Outlaw had dismal sales despite a massive marketing push, even getting outsold by older games like Ghost of Tsushima. It's kind of ironic, right? Disney could have saved a lot of money just by watching a few of the Critical Drinker's videos. He might be just one guy with a YouTube channel, but his critiques turned out to be more valuable than advice from high-paid consultants. And now, with rumors flying that Disney has quietly shelved the Rey movie, it seems they've finally taken his advice to heart, opting not to gamble away hundreds of millions again. But let's take a step back and think about this purely from a business angle. Producing any major Star Wars film like this proposed Rey movie would cost at least $250 million, maybe even more. To give you some context, The Rise of Skywalker had a budget of over $400 million, which is just mind-blowing, but not out of the ordinary for Lucasfilm. So, to even break even, a movie needs to rake in around $1 billion. Now, be honest here. Given how controversial Rey has been as a character, and seeing the decline in box office numbers across her trilogy, do you really think another Rey-centric film could turn the tide?
Oh dear, it really has been a tough few weeks for Disney Star Wars fans, hasn't it? Not only did the sudden cancellation of The Acolyte send literally dozens of people into a tiz on social media, don't worry though guys, I'm sure that petition for Season 2 will totally make up for the horrendous reviews and cratering viewing figures.
It's more likely just to burn through hundreds of millions of dollars that Lucasfilm can hardly afford to lose, and would only further damage a brand that's already been through the ringer. From any angle, whether creative or financial, I can't see any good reason to push forward with this movie. It just doesn't add up. My guess is that Disney knows this too, even if Lucasfilm doesn't. They were likely taken aback by the reception to The Acolyte, which seemed to share a lot of creative and political themes with the Rey project, especially with the choice of director. It looks like they've decided to quietly shut down the Rey movie before it gets any more traction. Will there be a dramatic cancellation announcement, or will it just fade into obscurity like so many other failed Star Wars ideas? Hard to say, but something tells me Rey won't be making a comeback in the Star Wars universe anytime soon. The Critical Drinker has been warning Disney about this for years, with his massive YouTube following of over 2.1 million subscribers and videos that constantly reach millions. He's been a vocal critic of the direction Disney has taken with Star Wars, and almost a year ago, he was one of the first to call out the director Disney had lined up for the Rey movie, revealing her as a radical feminist with a strong bias. It seems Disney might finally be listening.
I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
Once again, the critical drinker hit the nail on the head. Imagine if the roles were reversed and Disney had hired a man who boasted about making women uncomfortable to direct the next Star Wars movie. The media would have a field day, reporting non-stop about Disney's questionable choice. It makes you wonder what Disney was thinking when they chose a director who openly enjoys making men uneasy for a film that's going to cost hundreds of millions and is part of a franchise loved mostly by men. Did they even pause to consider the implications? Well, they must have, because they went ahead and hired her. It's not that Disney didn't think about the potential backlash. They actually believed she was the best person for the job and expected the media, which generally aligns with their views, to back them up.
If I need to stand up and face a man and look at him in the eyes and scare him off a little bit, I do, and I enjoy that power.
They thought they were safe from criticism, but they didn't account for the critical drinker and the Star Wars fanbase who made sure their displeasure went viral. This all but dashed any slim hope that the Rey movie would redeem the character from her Mary Sue persona. Instead, it became clear that Disney was planning to double down, sparking significant controversy within the Star Wars community and catching mainstream attention, thanks to high-profile YouTubers like the Critical Drinker. When Disney started marketing the film, they put all their eggs in one basket, emphasizing that it was the first Star Wars movie directed by a woman. This shows where their priorities were, highlighting a complete disconnect with what Star Wars fans actually value. They hope to generate excitement based solely on the director's gender, as if that would somehow improve the film. This approach is so out of touch with their target audience that instead of the applause they expected, they faced significant backlash. And as usual, the critical drinker, being a fan himself, understood the fan base much better than Disney could. He expressed just how out of place and ridiculous Disney's strategy was, and why fans were fed up with Disney's heavy-handed attempts at appealing to certain demographics. When fans expressed their disappointment, Disney, being as out of touch as they often are, quickly blamed the backlash on sexism. They claimed fans were being sexist against women, even though that was far from the truth. The critical drinker summed up the real issues perfectly. He explained that having a woman direct a Star Wars movie wasn't the problem. The issue was Disney's heavy focus on the director's gender over her qualifications and experience, which frankly weren't up to par. The critical drinker didn't just highlight the director's lack of suitability. He also exposed Disney's misguided priorities, including their overly agenda-driven approach. His outspoken criticism since the movie's announcement likely played a significant role in Disney's decision to cancel the project. But it wasn't just about stopping one movie. It sparked a broader shift in how Disney, along with its brands like Star Wars, Pixar, and Marvel, approached storytelling. They began moving away from pushing messages and lecturing their audience to actually listening to what fans wanted. A prime example of this new direction was Pixar's Inside Out 2, praised for its lack of political messaging and for simply telling a good, engaging story, a satisfying sequel for fans of the original.
You aren't packed yet?
I'm the worst!
Overreact much?
I barely touched it.
This shift came after the perceived failure of Lightyear, which many inside Disney blamed on the controversy surrounding a same-sex kiss scene. Following that, Disney leaders reportedly instructed the Inside Out 2 team to focus less on such elements, aiming for broader appeal by sticking to storytelling fundamentals. Interestingly, Disney's decision to steer clear of controversial topics in their movies paid off big time. Inside Out 2 avoided divisive themes and went on to become the highest-grossing movie of 2024, setting a new record as the all-time highest-grossing animated film. Marvel took note and applied a similar strategy with Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie steered clear of divisive agendas and treated its male characters with respect, and fans absolutely loved it. It broke records too, becoming the second highest-grossing movie of 2024 and the top R-rated movie ever. It looks like both Pixar and Marvel are getting back to their roots, focusing on what made their movies great in the first place. And with the likely cancellation of the Rey movie, Lucasfilm seems to be trying to right the ship and revive the Star Wars franchise, which has seen better days. A lot of this turnaround might be thanks to the critical drinker and the impact of his videos. Whether Disney executives watch his videos or not, the important thing is that they're resonating with audiences and seemingly influencing the studio's decisions.